Hey folks, Mil-Spec Opsmaker here. Listen, I get asked all the time, who do I use for satellite phones? I will tell you, the satellite phone store is my one-stop shop for that. If you want to get your hands on a satellite phone, whether it's that or the bivy sticks, reach out to them. You can find them at satellitephonestore.com, or you can call them at 1-877-943-6383. And tell them Monkey sent you. You can also go to sat123.com/monkeywerx, and that'll take you right in there. That's it. I'm telling you, you're going to want to have these in your quiver when this stuff goes south. That's it. God bless. Monkey out. Grace there. Sorry about that, folks. But nonetheless, that satellite phone store, if you guys are looking for sat phones, they've got them back in stock now, and they will not last long. I will tell you that. Just as an FYI, because I have had my eye on that market for quite some time, and the government has been grabbing them up left, right, and center, and a lot of them went to Ukraine. So they just got their hands on a small amount, and this is the time to strike. I'm telling you, comms go down, you definitely don't want to be stuck with just a cell phone. So, all right, so hey, listen, let's get on over here. Make sure you hit that like, subscribe, bell for notification, and we'll start off in Skyglass as always. Currently, let's see, I'm just going to do a quick refresh on the map. Sitting, it looks like about 312 mil aircraft up. It's pretty busy. Most of those are going to be trainers. As always, it is that time of year, and they got to get those flight hours in. So let this thing run. I'm going to let it marinate for just a second as we look at this. But yeah, around 312. Now, keep in mind, too, from a mil perspective, these things are usually sitting around 250, and I think our actual we're probably really in terms of the norm around 300 now. It has definitely gone up since we first started tracking these things. So 287, so we've had a few land, and we do have a Q4 drone bouncing right across. I love how they throw a different picture with those, but we're going to look at that closer here in just a second. So, all right, let's go look at our watch list. Got some interesting things going on right now. As you will see, over the United States, we do have, let's see, we got our Guardian Angels as always. Those are mil intel balloons that are up over the United States watching us 24/7. Of course, we only see 3 of them right now. There's that Q4 drone. It rolled out of the DC metro area and looks to be headed right now, and when we go look at it, it's actually bounced across Florida. There's another one of your weather birds, NOAA, and then we've got Energy 90, which is nuclear security. So it's a 737, and then Homeland Security down there off of Florida, as always. So, but that, and then let's get over here to Europe. Take a quick gander. Kind of light in terms of our watch list over Europe. You'll notice we got this little BE-20 that's hanging out. That one is that's one of your peacock birds. That's Army intelligence over let's see, is that Lithuania? It looks like, yeah, Lithuania. Running kind of routes back and forth right along that Belarus border. And then there's a E3, that's a NATO E3, that's a E3 Sentry, or AWACS, right? Look like they're out working air traffic in the region. Okay, so that is going to be those. Now, hang on one second. This is the one that kind of gets you. Yeah, that's Bill Gates coming out of Japan. What is he doing in Japan? I will show you. He just made the headlines relative to this new bill that was passed, but it definitely makes you wonder what he is up to, as always. This guy, he's like Soros, man. Anywhere he goes, it's like the angel of death. So, okay, so there's that one. Let's get over here to the heavy lifts. As you can see, kind of a light day. I mean, it's a Friday, which usually are pretty heavy. We're kind of coast to coast this morning. We do have a lot more stuff on the East Coast, but you'll notice we are working both sides of the fence today. Got a lot of activity down in Florida, and then, of course, running across the top. Now, if you're trying to figure out what we're looking at here, I'll show you from a heavy lift perspective. We talked on this the other day, but I just kind of roll in. This is a Friday, so we get some newcomers in here as well, just to show you the aircraft that we were actually talking about. But notice we do have some stuff. Looks like we're pushing into Finland, Sweden, and then over the Middle East. Notice Israel seems to be very, 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 very active compared to what we normally see. And then we got this one straggler coming out of the Southeast Asia headed up to India. It's a C-17. And then, of course, you can see another one that looked like it mapped in from that same region into Israel. So, okay. Now let's talk for a second. What is the heavies, right? We showed this yesterday. That is a C-17. It's a workhorse. It's what they call a Globemaster. We saw them with the big lifts going on in Afghanistan. And then this is a C-130. This one is also just a workhorse. The fuel and the range on this, even though they both have air refueling capabilities, is a lot closer than the C-17. C-17 is that bad dude, can go a long range, and it's got a lot of room in it and carry a lot of stuff. So, all right, now let's talk air refuelers. Over Europe, you can see it's really been kind of quiet. We got some stuff going on right there over Italy, which we've seen a little bit of an uptick in that in recent days, and then we get, actually in the last 2 weeks, over that region, and then we get over the United States, very spread out, very light. Normally we get about 30 or 40 air refuelers up. We've got one over the West Coast, and then we've got these. This one here is over Flashbang. Of course, he's up at his beach house in Delaware. Actually, he's not at the beach yet. We'll look at that in a second. And then this one over Madison, Wisconsin. I seriously don't know what's going on up there, but it is definitely something we need to watch. And then check this out. From the P8 perspective, I meant to show this the other day, but as we've been talking a lot about the fact that they've been doing a lot of legwork over the Chesapeake area, I just want to show you the different levels that they have been working over the past week. These are all different layers of doing that search grid right over the Chesapeake area, high altitude stuff. And of course, now we just saw the Q4 coming down from there as well. Again, just eyes on it. All right, now let's get over here real fast. We're talking about Bill Gates, and let's just show you what this dude has been up to as we get over to this side of it. It looks like he is the one behind Flashbang's Inflation Reduction Act, secretly brought to you by Bill Gates. Notice who he's hanging out here with. Yeah, that's the Big E. There's little skinny bones old man right there. And then he's got this other dude, Larry Summers. I don't know much about that guy, which is probably not a bad thing. But just notice, too, that this act actually raises taxes on the middle class. Yeah, that's you and me, folks, by $20 billion. Not to mention, they're throwing $124 billion at this IRS army, okay? So pay attention to that, because they are coming for their pound of flesh, so to speak. All right, let's get over to the environment side. We're going to talk a little bit about what's going on with the weather modification and things like that. Now, this is not weather modification. This is actually massive ash clouds from volcanoes. But we do have a spike right now in terms of solar winds and things like that. And that typically is going to increase earthquakes as well as volcanic activity. It is lower than it was the last time we looked, but I expect this to go up. Notice this one is the biggest component right now. This is actually a Russian volcano that's actually spewing, and that's an ash alert cloud right there. They put those out. This is again for aviation. And then of course we got this stuff down here, this Sawanoshima. I probably just butchered that, but anyway, this one's down here in Japan, always firing. And then of course these down in Central America, same thing, just blasting. Okay, actually that's South America. All right, so this is what we got coming, and this is why I think we'll see an uptick in that. Again, if you're watching earthquakes, go over to Dutch Sense. That dude has got it dialed in. But this is actually multiple Earth-directed CMEs. G2 moderate geomagnetic storm predicted for today, or sorry, that was yesterday. Today's the 19th. Let me get my days straight. But nonetheless, anytime that happens, we start to see an uptick around that time frame of the volcanic act and activity, and as well as the earthquake activity. So, all right, now let's talk weather manipulation. This is actually Israeli national news, but notice Chinese planes fire rods into the sky to seed rain clouds. Again, smoking gun. They're not even trying to hide it anymore. Everybody's got their hands in messing with the weather. You think for a minute they're not doing this intentionally to the United States and why we're having such a massive drought. Yeah, you definitely know they are. And then you get over here. Look at this. Paris hit by 80% of average August rainfall in 90 minutes. So almost the entire month, 80% of the month's rainfall just dropped out of the sky in an hour and a half, which is pretty amazing. But again, probably, if I had to guess, modified. All right, over to the misery map. I'm showing this just because I keep getting these notifications that San Diego, for some crazy reason, keeps having these massive schedule delays, all impacted by the rest of the country. And I only say that because my phone was dialed into that airport as I left this past weekend. But just to show you, if you're traveling today, ATL is going to get you for the most part. That's going to be your biggest delay on the spectrum. So everything else looks to be, as you can see, Dallas, Chicago, the norms, and then of course New York, as always. Going to the West Coast, notice that big delays. That's those heavy red lines you see across the screen. Okay. All right. Now this is our latest and greatest. This 2 aircraft up right now. NOAA. We've got let's see, NOAA 48 and a NOAA 68. Let me see if I covered both of those. I've got a 43, so we'll come back to the other one. But this is going to be your 68. Looks to be headed out of Iowa and Des Moines, Iowa, actually, and then headed to the East Coast. Looks like it's headed in right kind of in the area where Flashbang is right now. So that would be interesting. The reason I say that is because remember when he was in South Carolina, we saw one head down to South Carolina, and now we got one headed into this area. All right, and then this one we were watching the other day as it took off and flew in and out of these storms. But I want to show you this is a seeding going on. What do we have happening here? But you'll notice running these routes again. These are weather birds. Here, the interesting thing too is let me see if this has got the photo that I was looking for. Where did you go? I know you were on there just 2 minutes ago. All right, that's 68. Let's pop this one up here. It's this one here. Okay, we'll come back to it. All right, so this is going to be the other one we were just watching, flying out of that general area there with Flashbang. Okay, here's why I was showing this. As we get into 43, weather manipulation, I think probably doing some seeding as you see them flying through these thunderstorms over Florida. Then we get into this one, and this one I think is important because it is actually, if you know where, right here where my mouse is kind of the general area where HARP is. And so we've got this aircraft N802NA. We're going to look at that closer, but you can see it flying out of here and doing some 40,000 foot level flying around over HARP. Okay, so definitely makes you curious. Again, this is HARP is right down in this general area. It looks like it was running in and out of Fairbanks, Alaska. But let's take a closer look at this aircraft. And here's why I'm pointing this one out. This is, notice it's a blue and white. It's painted just like the presidential aircraft, all right? It's just got a NASA on the tail, but it still says United States of America on it, which is interesting because you notice the NASA and the NOAA birds, they either say Department of Commerce or United States of America with the NASA. So go figure. Definitely government programs, but look at this pod hanging off the belly of this G3. This is a high dollar plane. But that pod right there looks to have some little ram air stuff, so it looks like they're taking things in, but no telling what technology and capability this thing has. But again, that's what we're looking at. This is going to be the HARP location right here, and this is where, let me back up, this is where this aircraft was flying right there, same general area. So are they working together? Did we have some big weather deal going on with that? Probably so, if I had to guess. All right, and now speaking of weather modification, we got this one back up. Check this out. Down here just to the northwest of Jakarta, notice what it says. Weather modification technology flight will take place. Now we got the date all the way to August 26th, so that's kind of the end of next week. So pay attention. I'm telling you folks, they are modifying the daylights out of our weather on a regular basis, and we just happen to be catching them now. This isn't about chemtrails. This stuff is way beyond that. This is cloud seeding. This is using satellite technology and all kinds of different things, including HARP, to do that. So, okay, now speaking of weather, let's just get over here real fast. I want to show you this aspect of it. Notice Flashbang. These are going to be his TFRs that are in play right now. Notice this one. He is at his residence. Now, remember, he just had the CV-19er, and then we didn't see much of him, and he went on vacation down to South Carolina, and now he's headed back up to this. So that was for a week. Now we're on to the next week. Let's see how long he's out for. Kind of makes you wonder if something's happened. They're just keeping him out of sight. I don't know. This is kind of a strange thing, that the fact that he's just on this extended vacation while all of these other things take place. Pretty crazy. But nonetheless, he is here at his residence. And then starting, if you look at this TFR, this thing is starting actually the 20th through the 24th. So he's actually there into next week on continued vacation. So, and how do we know it's him? Because one, it says POTUS, but two, the size of the rings. The TFR rings around this guy are massive. And they do that because he is, he's not the fastest guy in the world. And they probably have to explain to him that they're evacuating if they had to evacuate, right? They probably have to walk him through the whole scenario and repeat it several times in order for him to get it. So, all right, now if we get over here and we look at Flashbang Schedule, actually, I think I have taken it down. Yeah, I did take it down. He really doesn't have anything. Take that back. I did not take it down. We're going to look at that in just a second. It is here. Just out of town pool call. So the village is still without its idiot. So nothing really to see here. Okay, and then let's back up for a second. This is going to be that Q4 drone we were tracking. Notice it came out of right up here in the Washington, D.C. area. Right there in that Chesapeake zone where we're watching all those P-8 flights tracking the water area. But that's a Q4. That's a Global Hawk. That's the same thing we see over the Black Sea. Looks to be out over the panhandle of Florida right now over the Gulf. So we'll continue to watch it and see where it ended up going. But okay, now we were talking water the other day, and I was mentioning the fact that Shanghai is it's the busiest port in the world. It's one of the most modern ports in the world. They can actually unload a ship and reload it in about 30 hours roughly, and that's one that has about 3,000 containers. So that's really clicking compared to other metrics elsewhere. Okay, but I want to show you just how jacked up the supply chain is. Notice the amount of ships. Remember, circles are parked. The ones that are arrowed are moving, okay? But notice how much is parked out here off of Shanghai, all right? These are the ones that are active. The gray dots right here are the ones that are inactive. These are boats that are just sitting. They're not really doing anything. They're classified as an unspecified ship because they're not pinging. They don't basically have their transponders, on, so to speak, from a boat perspective, okay? But look at that. These are thousands and thousands of boats off the China coast. You know what that means? It means their economy is also in the toilet. And the fact that these things aren't moving supply, that means the rest of the world is also starting, is really on the brink. They're already starting to feel it. That means this stuff isn't moving anywhere. So this is a major, major indicator that we've got a big problem in the supply chain that is going to be global in nature. Look at this, guys. This is incredible. You get out over the water. Look at the amount of ships that are just parked. Insane. Thousands and thousands of cargo and oil tankers sitting off the coast of China, not moving, as well as the ones that are the dots not moving. This is unprecedented. I'm telling you right now, we will feel this in the coming weeks and months. It's already been slow to begin with, but we didn't have these sea of these, right? The grays. So this is a different dynamic. We've been watching this for a while. We see them pop in and out from time to time, small amounts, maybe in the hundreds, but not like this. This is in the thousands. And like I said, this is like a giant graveyard out here. Okay, not good for what's coming. Now check this out. China's planning $230 billion physical stimulus package as slowdown worsens. Yeah, well, this tells us right now that that would indicate that they're pretty much like us in deep kimchi. Okay, so that is no bueno for us and for the rest of the world. All right. Okay, we talked about Flashbang. Now let's get on over here to Flashbang and his policies. We got this here. Trump calls for a no redaction. And relative to that affidavit that's out there, the judge is ordering a DOJ to unseal portions of it. Trump's saying, let it hang, man. Let's see what you got. All right. Now, why is this important? Remember, and I've been saying this, there are two organizations. You got New World Order, you got Deep State. Both are working against us, okay? They are definitely two separate organizations with two different sets of goals in mind, okay? Now, this is going to be your globalist New World Order. Listen to what Soros has to say about Trump. Okay?
I consider the Trump administration a danger to the world, but I regard it as a purely temporary phenomenon that will disappear in 2020.
Yeah. This thing was all planned, folks. And let me tell you, they will not allow him to come into this office again. I will bet my life on it. Just short of the nuclear option, like I said, he's working against all of them. And the reality is his mindset, his thought process, he's a patriot. He's like us, right? And you think when they get done with him, guess who they're coming after? Us. He's the only thing that's standing in the way right now that they're focused on with all of their energy. But as soon as they're done focusing on him, they're coming after us. You can bet your life on it, okay? Because we represent the same things that he does, okay? All right, now on to your wallets and Flashbang. It looks like, as you know, we just talked about the other day, he just earmarked more money, and yet again, every week we continue to pump tons and tons of money. So this time, Reuters is actually saying Biden administration readies another $800 million in additional security aid for Ukraine. So yeah, folks, stop the insanity. Somebody smack the wallet out of this guy's hand and the checkbook, and stop the spending, because this right here is putting us and spending our future into oblivion. There's no way you can recover from it. Now, this is probably the reason he's doing that is because he's got Biden bucks on the horizon coming in December, and so we're told from one of the former or previous executive orders. So not good. All right, on over here to Russia. As Russia deploys MiG fighters armed with a hypersonic missile to Kaliningrad. Now, we've been watching that port. We know that's a big area for them, but there's a shot of that hypersonic missile on the belly of that MiG. And that's kind of, you think about it, we just put F-22s right there into Poland, in the center of Poland, and a little bit closer to Belarus than we probably should. And then, of course, they just counter and pop something in right over above us over there near Kaliningrad. Again, not good for the region. And then, of course, this is actually what's going on in Ukraine today. Is notice the reach of the strikes. These are aerial threats as the sirens sound to take cover all the way out here. This is your border right here going into Poland. This is Belarus up top. And you get down south here. That's Crimea. So, yeah, that is right up against the border. Just kind of showing the reach of this stuff. It's just a matter of time, I'm telling you, before all this stuff goes hot. We've been waiting for it. This seems to just be like a slow motion train wreck, but eventually it will come home to roost. There's no doubt about that. So, all right, now let's take a quick look at Syria too, as we're over in the region. See if we've got anything new going on. This is, yeah, look how active it's getting. Very, very active, especially up here on the Turkish border. It looks like we've got a lot of things happening as well down here in Israel. If I go into the regions, let's drop down here to Israel and Palestine. You can see also a lot of the reports, very, very active, right, around the region. So, okay, let's move on out to troop movement. We're going to talk Biggs Army Airfield. Looks like we got some Omni flights that just rolled in, both from Alliance, Fort Worth Alliance, and we've got Eastern Airlines coming in from Shannon, Ireland. We've got this one, Minneapolis, St. Paul. That's actually going to be one of your that's a Sun Country. And so these are troops. These are all troops coming inbound, or at least to be processed. And then this one coming out of Houston. And then we look where they're headed. Portsmouth, Austin International, which is that's Fort Hood. And then you get down here, same thing, Fort Hood. Another one that's Eastern Airlines headed down there. That's Robert Gray Army Airfield. And then you've got Baltimore. Quite a bit of troop movement, actually. And then this one headed up to Indianapolis. So looks like we got another wave of troops going across the drink. Get over here to Ramstein. The board has actually started to empty out. It was chock full this morning when I looked at it about an hour ago. Looks like they've started to kind of fade out as they are a little ahead of us in the day. Okay, so looks like we got a couple camber flights inbound. We got Kuwait, and then this from Doha, both those Middle East flights. And then we've got one inbound from Dover. That's going to be an Atlas Air 747-400. And then it looks like we've got return flights headed out of Ramstein to Baltimore, Washington. Let's see, another camber flight. We'll look closer at that one. And then another reach flight. Looks like that is headed into, where is that? It's Turkey. No, Ankara. That's Alaska, I think. All right, well, we'll figure it out. Let's get over here real fast and look at this one. This is actually going to be your Omni Air. Looks like we've got one flight still on the board. Actually, two showing. Sorry. That was an update. Just took off out of Alaska, headed down here into, looks to be headed to Anderson Air Force Base. And then this other one here out of Hawaii, also headed down into Guam. So, all right. So it looks like we're going in both directions again this weekend. Most of it is in Europe, but here we are. We got 5 flights on the board. These are camber flights. These are all troops. Everything here is troop movement. Notice they are all backed up and stacked coming inbound. They look to be returning, it looks like, from Europe. And then this one looks to be landing right now in kind of Germany. So, all right. And then this is going to be your Brits. Got one rolling out of Iceland into Greenland. And we do have that exercise still going on over in that region. If we back up and look, let me get over to that neck of the woods. Notice this too. This is where that volcano was we were just looking at. This is a missile launch. Russia seems to be right there next to that volcanic activity where the ash is. But yeah, notice we still got activity. This is going to be mill operation or exercise going on in Iceland. So that probably ties us into the Royal Air Force flights coming out of this area. And then looks like we've got one also coming back to the UK. Over to the Ruskies. I only show one right now on the board. That is, looks like he took off out of Moscow, headed eastbound. No telling where he's headed. Then we had 2 others that just landed. This is RSD-77. You'll notice that one landed 2 hours, 20 minutes ago. Came out of St. Petersburg back to Moscow. Again, these are going to be your dignitaries for the most part. The executive branch of Russia. All right, if they had an executive branch. But nonetheless, here's another one here. RSD-71 landed 1 hour, 16 minutes ago. Came out of a spot I can't pronounce back into Moscow. And again, this is kind of, we don't see him very often, so we're just going to point him out. All right, over here to the Gestapo. This is going to be N721AL, and this is, looks like they actually flew a crew down yesterday to Raleigh-Durham and back to DC. Probably dropped some folks off, although it is Friday. They may have come down and picked up a team they dropped off previously. But nonetheless, they look to be, at least the aircraft is back in DC. And then lastly, let's get over here to our immigration flights. A little slow on the board, or a little smaller than we usually see. I'm only catching 5 or 6 on here right now. This thing had about a dozen plus just about an hour ago. But notice there are a couple look like coming out of Miami, headed up into Cincinnati, Kentucky. And don't know what that is all about, but just showing you there are flights that go into the interior of our country. And then we got a lot headed down into South America, like this one, for example, going from San Juan, Puerto Rico down into South America. And then this one going to Bogota, Colombia. And then these running back and forth from Valley. Valley is a border town right there in southern Texas. So, like I said, you hope they're exfilling, but man, I don't put anything past this current administration to be bringing folks in. All right. So, okay, listen, that is going to be it for today. You guys, we will see you on Monday for our next SITREP. Those in the chat, don't forget we got our Q&A today over on Patreon, and we'll start that up here right after this. Other than that, man, keep that powder dry, stay frosty, and as always, let's go, Brandon. God bless. Monkey out. Check out the latest gear and products at monkeyworksus.com.